Good evening. My name is Jan Cottrell, representing the League of Women Voters of Bellingham and Whatcom County. Founded in 1920, the League is a nonpartisan organization with more than 700 affiliates in all 50 states. Our goals are to encourage informed and active participation in government, increase an understanding of major public policy issues, and influence public policy through education and advocacy. The League never endorses candidates or political parties. Membership is open to people of all ages 16 and older, and we invite you to join. Tonight's forum is being recorded, and recordings will be available on our website, League of Women Voters, BellinghamWhatcom.org, on the City of Bellingham YouTube channel, and also shown on BTV 10. No portions of this forum may be rebroadcast in part or in full without the written consent of the League. Questions for this forum have been prepared in advance by the League with input from the public. Attendees may submit a question using the question and answer button at the bottom of your Zoom screen, and we will ask as many questions as time permits. We are hosting candidates for Whatcom County Council tonight, and I would like to welcome Kaylee Galloway. Please raise your hand. Thank you, Kaylee. And Eddy Uri. Thank you, Eddy, who are running for District 1 position. County council members are elected to 4-year terms. The council adopts and enacts ordinances or resolutions, levies taxes, appropriates revenue, and adopts budgets for the county. They establish the compensation paid to county officers, adopt comprehensive plans for present and future development of the county. Only voters living in District 1 vote for this position. Here are the rules. Each candidate may make a 2-minute opening statement and a 1-minute closing statement. By alphabetical order, candidate Galloway will be going first for both opening and closing statements. Each candidate will be asked the same questions, and you will have up to 90 seconds to answer. I will alternate who goes first each time. You also have a challenge card that you may use to challenge your opponent's response one time. Just raise your card, then you'll have 30 seconds to present your challenge, and your opponent has 30 seconds to respond. You may make only one challenge. To help track your time, when you begin to speak, the purple timer screen will display a clock counting down in time. It will turn yellow when 15 seconds remain, and when it turns red, your time is up. We ask that candidates be respectful of the time allotted. If you continue to speak, a bell will ring, and we may cut off your microphones. Any questions regarding the rules? If our timers are ready, we can begin. Candidate Galloway, please give your opening statement.
Thank you so much for being here today, and thank you to the League of Women Voters. My name is Kaylee Galloway, and I am running for Whatcom County Council in District 1. Thank you to the people of Bellingham for trusting me with your vote in the primary, and I hope to earn your vote again. This is an incredibly important race for all of us. It's an opportunity to elect a young person with fresh energy and informed perspective to the county council and set the stage for the next generation of leadership. As a daughter of small business owners and healthcare providers, as the sister and granddaughter of veterans, and great-granddaughter of a union leader, my values of hard work and service run deep in the foundation of my upbringing and throughout my commitment to serving our community. These values have shaped me as a student leader at Western, where I advocated for quality and affordable higher education and housing, and through my service at the local, state, and federal levels of government. I am running because I want to make a difference in the community I love and have called home for the last decade. I want to see increased representation of young people at the tables where decisions are made and focus on thoughtful, effective, collaborative, and inclusive policy solutions and policy development that empowers our communities. I want to see government work better for everyone. We must support our local economy, protect our workers, and fight to keep our families and environment safe and healthy. This means addressing climate change, making sure our housing is affordable, and investing in modern infrastructure. I am proud of my years in government service, learning what it takes to be an effective leader, policymaker, and community advocate. I listen and learn and bring people together to find common ground and develop good policy. I look forward to continuing this work, and I'm excited to earn your support and vote on the November ballot. Thank you.
Thank you, Candidate Galloway. Candidate Uri, would you please give your opening statement?
Excuse me. I'm Eddy Uri, and I'm seeking to serve you, work for you all as a member of the Whatcom County Council. The path that's led me here is a decade making my home in Whatcom County and dedicating my life, both professionally, volunteering, working with others in service of our community. And what I've come to see more and more is firsthand how people here join together and bringing our values into action through service, cooperation, caring, giving, organizing, showing up, and sticking through it. And all the more through the ongoing crisis that we're facing, climate instability, homelessness, our economic struggles, and the continuing pandemic. You may be looking to our governments with perhaps even low expectations and asking, what can we do to help? And I'm asking that question too toward myself. What can I do to help you? So let's talk about it. And I've come to believe that collectively, we have the solutions in our community. We have the will and the way forward to make a better world for us all to live in, to meet these challenges head on and improve our lives and shape a better future for all of us. And the next 4 years are a pivotal time to do that. I aim to make the most of it. I've a record of accomplishments professionally on climate and energy policy, working through controversial issues like development at Cherry Point, often going up against powerful interests and successfully passing monumental legislation through our county, working together with others, leading, and then also coming to the table, listening, negotiating, finding common ground and solutions and a way forward through consensus, which should be the goal of all members of county council. So I believe we can move past divisions, work together cooperatively despite our differences and disagreements in service of everyone. And that's what I aim to do, and would be honored to have your vote.
Thank you, Candidate Uri. And now I just want to say that we will be accepting questions during the next 15 minutes or so. If you have questions, please put them in the chat, in the question and answer area of your screen. Our first question is, Candidate Uri, how would you evaluate your success as a council person at the end of your term?
Well, an easy metric would be, have I successfully passed legislation and funding allocations that lead to real progress and tangible impacts in our community? And did I do so in a way that brought people in, successfully engaged stakeholders, balanced interests, but ultimately got something done? Because for too long, I see and have worked through it. Things take years. We have a bureaucratic system, an administrative heavy, weak council system that is not built to make change happen or happen quickly. But what's in front of us now is a limited window of time. We're likely to have more money than we could even potentially spend and access from the federal government if we can work together to make projects and eligible entities access them, to strengthen our infrastructure, house all residents, build thousands of new permanently affordable housing units, not at market rate, address climate change, sustain our water supplies, protect Lake Whatcom, sustain in-stream flows and replenish and restore salmon habitat, rapidly expand clean energy and electrification and decarbonization of transportation and buildings, both within the county administration, municipal entities, as well as community-wide, supporting local agriculture and, just leading to better public health services, mental health, and serving everyone. So I hope to get a lot done, and I'll be actively pursuing these things from day one on county council.
Thank you, Candidate Uri. Candidate Galloway, please answer the same question.
Thank you so much. I have so many ideas that come to mind, so I'll try to work through them. First and foremost, I think one of the most important functions of an elected leader is to meet community members where they're at. So somebody who has an extensive background in outreach and constituent service, I'm really excited for the opportunity to continue my work where I go across my district and across the county to meet folks, to learn very intimately about some of the challenges our communities continue to face. And so for me, I'm excited to launch that. I also have ambitious policy aspirations, of course, and recognize those are accomplished with the support of our community and the various levels of government. So I too have ambitious priorities when it comes to addressing economic recovery and workforce development, ensuring our childcare is accessible and affordable and quality, ensuring that we are supporting jobs, addressing climate change, infrastructure investments, keeping our community safe. But for me also, I am very excited about expanding our intergovernment relations between the various levels of government. Having worked at the local city, county, state, federal, and with both tribes, I'm really excited to push forward our policy agendas at those levels and continue to leverage funding so that we can see real change and action here locally. Thank you.
Thank you, Candidate Galloway. And you are first for the next question, which is, what are the top infrastructure needs in the county, and why do you consider these to be important?
Sure. So first and foremost, I have a very expansive way of thinking about infrastructure. So for me, it is about roads and bridges, which are the traditional forms, but it also could include culverts. It can include green infrastructure, as well as broadband. And so I think infrastructure is definitely going to be a top priority for our county as we continue to recover economically from this pandemic. I do believe investing in infrastructure can create and sustain living wage and union jobs throughout our entire county. So for me, I think among the top infrastructure needs are going to be establishing an inventory of all of our culverts throughout the state, those especially that are fish passage barriers, and ensuring that we're replacing them. I also think broadband is going to rise to the top priority, as we saw during this pandemic, as most of us shifted our lives to working and going to school and shopping and receiving healthcare from home. That access to affordable and quality high-speed internet is a matter of necessity, and it's a matter of equity. And so making sure that we're investing in broadband throughout our entire county, especially focusing on our rural areas and in that last mile. So these are all of my ideas. I'm very excited to see that federal and state governments are prepared to invest in infrastructure, and I'm excited to work with them to implement here at home in Whatcom County. Thank you.
Thank you, Candidate Galloway. Candidate Uri, would you please answer the same question?
Infrastructure is fundamental, and it's going to be a top priority on county council to work on improving and expanding. And it does mean more than what we think of as utilities and transportation, roads and bridges. Infrastructure, to me, more conceptually, includes our healthcare systems, our childcare, our housing, all of the things that could collectively make our home what it is, make the community we live in better, whether it's for us or for everyone that we share. And that also lays a groundwork for economic development that helps businesses and helps people, lowers our cost of living. This is the fundamental role of municipal government, right? Pooling our resources together and building that backbone. Now, top priorities for expansion that we got to be working on and make major gains in the next few years in actual tangible work being done and thousands of jobs being created, open access public broadband so that everyone in the county has reliable and low cost, high speed internet service. This is a basic public utility that is not equitably distributed, and there's a telecom monopoly standing in the way. We need to bring this to the people. Decarbonization through distributed energy resources. That means clean energy, energy storage. There's a lot of work to do in zoning, not just the funding and promoting side, but zoning to development rules responsibly as we build the new infrastructure to get us to zero carbon energy systems within the next couple of decades. That starts now. We're making major gains in the next few years.
Thank you, Candidate Uri. And you are first for the next question. What initiatives would you support the council take to improve gender and racial equity for those serving in county government?
Well, we know that there's racism continues to be a systemic issue, not just in Whatcom County, but including here. And we have many diverse communities, everywhere from the indigenous tribal communities that have lived here since time immemorial, and have faced, all kinds of, oppression, genocide, discrimination that are, major part of our county. Immigrant communities of color that have been here since just as long as the white people here. The Punjabi Sikh population are farmers, migrant farm workers working the fields, and all folks of all stripes who move here for whatever reason and make their home or come to study or work. These people we're a majority white and inaccessible system that too many folks are getting left out of, and that's starting to change. There's rightfully a lot of attention being put to it more and work being done. Friends of mine organized to help establish the Whatcom County Racial Equity Commission, and that's ongoing work that we all need to be engaged in and taking their recommendations to implement. But I think particularly in the areas of law enforcement and access to housing and just basic services, whether it's a language barrier, an economic barrier, perceived danger, those are the things we need to look at critically and have accountability over county employees in hiring decisions and in the practices of them in every department. And I think that is the role of council to oversee and also to invite input and take feedback actively.
Thank you, Candidate Uri. Candidate Galloway, would you please answer the same question?
Thank you. One of my top priorities is actually incorporating equity in all of our budget and policy decisions moving forward. Working as a legislative assistant for Representative Deborah Canoff, I got to experience the work of the state legislature as they did that intentional work. And so taking my teachings and bringing them with me so that we can incorporate them here in Whatcom County will go a long ways. I believe equity needs to be considered, both gender and racial equity, in every policy decision and budget decisions we have. So, for example, when it comes to public safety and criminal justice reform, I absolutely support the work of the Racial Equity Commission and some of the work around diversion programs. When it comes to housing, we need to make sure it's affordable and accessible. Same with childcare, same with healthcare, and that it's inclusive. Same with access to education and pay equity. So these are all areas in which we need to be addressing here at the county, and we need to be incredibly intentional about how we do it. Oh, sorry, I froze there a little bit. I think that covers everything that I had to say. I'm sorry, I don't know where I was at.
Thank you, Candidate Galloway. And this is the next question. What new industries or activities do you believe would be appropriate for the Cherry Point urban growth area? Candidate Galloway.
Yeah, I'm very excited for the future of Cherry Point. I believe that Cherry Point is an economic backbone in our community, and the work that we do at Cherry Point needs to be in collaboration with our tribes, with labor, with the local and state governments, and with our industry. So I'm very excited at the prospects of enhancing renewable energy industry, and clean tech and some other industries that will propel us and our economy into the next generation. I'm very excited to be supported by over a dozen labor unions, all of whom seem incredibly excited about opportunities that exist in our economy, specifically in talking to folks like electrical workers. They're very excited at the prospects of modernizing our grid, promoting renewable energy, installing solar panels and electric vehicle charging stations, or our laborers who are going to be constructing our next generation infrastructure. And so I think promoting businesses like hydrogen facilities and modernizing our infrastructure out in Cherry Point will be really important so that we can continue to have a positive benefit economically without further damaging our environment. Thank you.
Thank you, Candidate Galloway. Candidate Uri, would you please answer the same question?
Cherry Point is the county's sole heavy impact industrial zone. It's home to the refineries, formerly or curtailed aluminum smelter, unfortunately, 2 fracked gas power plants operated by PSE. And it's a major driver of our regional energy systems and our local economy, our tax base. There's been so much concern and controversy over its development in the past years. And there's I think it is to say that the industries operating there now are going strong. We have a good regulatory framework now that I worked on for 5 years and got passed unanimously by County Council with industry support. That is the most environmentally protective regulations on oil refineries ever enacted in the United States. And we're the first county to outwardly ban new fossil fuel infrastructure. I'm proud of that. In the next question of development, we have to stay away from the shoreline or anything that's going to increase vessel traffic. We have to protect our fisheries, our intertidal zones, the Cherry Point herring, endangered species, and protect public safety and not bring more industrial hazards like oil trains coming through the community. That said, Cherry Point is a great place for building energy, using the existing infrastructure there and expanding it into our energy systems for storage and power generation. It's an appropriate place for wind turbines, for instance, and is potentially data storage, potentially manufacturing, all kinds of things that could come there. There's also a lot of sites that need to get cleaned up, and we're going to have to get the funds to do that. It's something that we can only set the bounds of shaping.
Thank you, Candidate Uri. And this will be your last question coming up. Candidate Uri, what role does the county have in providing shelter for the unhoused in our community? Candidate Uri.
I think the county's role is central, although much of the need for it may fall in Bellingham or in other incorporated cities. The county's role through funding, through being able to acquire and designating land for shelter and for supportive housing. County's often the best entity to access state and federal funds and distribute it, whether it's to nonprofit developers or other agencies or the cities. I think there's a lot of good land that the county either is in county zoning that's on the outskirts in the Bellingham urban growth area that we need to be that could be perfect place for situating manufactured homes, whether you call them tiny home villages or mobile home parks, and preserving the existing ones. The county could be purchasing motels, like there's one up in Meridian up for sale with 100 rooms. Fact is that we are over reliant on the Lighthouse mission, and the base camp is it's playing its role to get us through the pandemic. And last week and I think now it is at capacity. It's 200 available spaces, which really are just places on the floor 6 feet apart. They're full and they're packed. And while churches and nonprofits are doing a great job stepping up, and lots of just active community members, the government needs to come in here, and we need to get shelter online so that no one is left out in the cold again this winter. This is a human rights crisis, and it is something that I will not rest until we have done everything we can possibly do to act on now and when I get on county council.
Thank you, Candidate Uri. Candidate Galloway, could you please answer the same question?
Absolutely. I mean, specific to this question, I absolutely believe the county should continue to step up to invest in shelters. But what I will say is I believe that's just the tip of a very, very large iceberg when it comes to what the county can and perhaps should do when it comes to addressing our affordable housing and homelessness crisis. So for me, when I think about the opportunity for the county to take a far more proactive approach to housing, I really do want to see the county step up to support our multitude of nonprofit housing providers and continue to expand the housing opportunities across the entire spectrum, right? So in addition to shelters, that includes transitional housing, tiny homes, permanent supportive housing, affordable home ownership opportunities, housing specifically for women and youth and LGBTQ plus folks. So really thinking about the county stepping up with the city and the state, federal and tribal governments in funding those projects. I also believe the county could develop a local improvement district to help in the acquisition of land. The county can also explore how to update our land use and building codes and zoning regulations to ensure we're increasing density and sustainable development, transit-oriented development. So the county really does have an opportunity to step up and expand the way in which we address the housing crisis. Thank you.
Thank you, Candidate Galloway. Candidate Galloway, please give your closing statement.
Thank you again for being here. I am so grateful to share my vision, values, and goals for Whatcom County. As someone who has worked at the local, state, and federal levels of government, I am ready to start on day one, addressing the challenges our communities face with new, creative, and bold solutions. We must continue to support our local economy and workforce development, address climate change and water issues, and invest in affordable housing, infrastructure, and keeping our communities safe. I am proud to be endorsed by elected leaders at every level of government, including Congress members Del Bene and Larson, state legislators Lukianoff, Lovelit, Shoemake, and Rule, Executive Sidhu, council majorities of both Whatcom County and Bellingham City Councils, Lummi Nation, Nooksack Tribe, over a dozen labor unions, progressive organizations like the Washington Housing Alliance and Planned Parenthood, and I hope to add your name to that list. To learn more about my website, visit my website, votekayleyGalloway.com, and I hope to earn your vote. Thank you so much.
On behalf of the League of Women Voters, I thank the candidates for being here today and for being willing to run for elective office.
Excuse me, Eddy still needs his statement.
Sorry, my apologies. Candidate Uri, please give your closing statement.
Hey, that's okay. So I want to thank you all, the League of Women Voters, for all of your lifetime and continuing participation in our civic life, because that's what makes home here. And I mean more than where we live and where we work. It's what we share in building, fixing, and improving and working, growing together. I'm proud to call Whatcom County home, and I'm seeking to serve again in a role that I've prepared to take through years of experience, learning county processes, learning the legislation and the departments, and learning the community and those who are out there to work with to get things done. I want to devote myself to working for our neighbors, our ecosystems, and our shared values. And I aim to make the most of the next 4 years. I'm honored to have the sole endorsement from Whatcom Democrats, Riveters Collective, Sierra Club, the Washington Conservation Voters, a number of local elected officials, because of my track record of accomplishments driving bold policy changes, and I'd be honored to have your support too.
Thank you, Candidate Uri, and my apologies once again for cutting you short there. Voters can find out more information about candidates online at vote411.org and in your voter pamphlet. Ballots will be mailed October 13th, 2021. Your ballot must be postmarked or in a ballot drop box before 8 p.m. on November 2nd, 2021. Please remember to sign the ballot envelope, and if mailing by postal service, we recommend mailing early. Thank you.